Yo, what's up? Today we're not going to talk about Battlefield 6. Isn't that crazy? We're going to talk about a brand new game that just posted some new information. It's called WARDOGS. I made a video, I think in February about this game when they initially announced some new stuff. But this time around, they gave us a lot more details as to what the direction of the game is, what we can expect from the gameplay. And guys, I have to be honest, this game doesn't even really look like it's for me, and we'll go over why later, but nothing's happening with Battlefield 6, so we might as well talk about WARDOGS anyway. So let's get right into things. If you enjoy the channel, be sure to hit the sub button if you want to stay up to date with all things Battlefield 6 and maybe WARDOGS in the future, because I do plan on trying this game whenever the early access period gets announced. Also, be sure to check out my second channel where I talk about one of my hobbies, which is fragrances / perfumes and all that. So that'll be linked in the description and it will be the pinned comment. I'm trying to maintain regular uploads on this channel and the second channel, and it's been really hard, but it's also been really rewarding. Love to see you guys come through on both of the channels. It's been super fun. So first off, I just have to give a big shout out to the WARDOGS team. Actually, a former and I think fellow YouTuber Lossy is their community manager. If you remember Lossy, guys, he used to cover Battlefield. He is now the community manager of, I guess, WARDOGS, and he sent me some B-roll to use. And before anyone asks, no, this video is not sponsored, and that'll become really obvious once I start talking about what I think about some of the gameplay elements of WARDOGS. But first things first, they released a big video where they basically talk about some of their direction and thinking with WARDOGS, and I have to give credit where credit is due. This developer team knows exactly what the fuck they want to make. Okay, they explicitly state WARDOGS is not going to be for everyone. We are not trying to satisfy everyone with this game. They are very clearly not trying to chase any sort of trend, and that is very commendable in this FPS space because everyone else is trying to chase trends. And in the case of EA, they're trying to chase trends that are 6 years out of date. RedSec. Another cool thing WARDOGS did is they provided this graphic that shows where WARDOGS fits in this FPS space in comparison to other titles. You can see it has basically like a slider here, arcade, and then it goes all the way to super hardcore. In their opinion, WARDOGS leans more on the hardcore side of things rather than arcade. And one thing that I really want to emphasize here is WARDOGS is not going to play anything like Battlefield. I know a lot of Battlefield players are looking at this game with the current state of Battlefield 6 and they're going, ooh, WARDOGS, you know, oh, this looks like a cool combined arms experience. Yeah, WARDOGS is going to play completely differently compared to Battlefield. And in the developer video, they actually asked one of the developers if WARDOGS was going to be a quote-unquote Battlefield killer, and this is what they had to say.
People keep saying that WARDOGS is going to be a Battlefield killer.
WARDOGS is not a Battlefield killer. It's got its own identity. It's fundamentally more tactical in terms of decision making and pacing.
All right, so with that stuff out of the way, what did they say about WARDOGS in this developer video? First, I want to focus on some gameplay elements that are super important to understanding the gameplay loop of WARDOGS and how it's potentially going to be paced. They mention in the developer video that you will not be able to spawn on squad mates in WARDOGS, and that single thing is going to completely take WARDOGS gameplay to basically a crawl, in my opinion. If you're used to playing Battlefield, you are used to being able to actually getting in the action with your squad where they're positioned. But it sounds like in WARDOGS, if you die, the consequences are just going to be unbelievably catastrophic. Obviously, I haven't got my hands on the game to actually play it, but just from my perspective, not being able to spawn on squad mates is almost enough to make me uninterested in the gameplay. And that might sound ridiculous, but it really isn't because the developers themselves stated this game isn't made for everybody. I don't really want to waste a ton of time getting to the fight. And if dying means I have to run all the way back from HQ, ooh, yeah, I don't know about that. And the reason why I'm mentioning that squad spawn system up front is I think that is going to be a very big thing for people. But that isn't the only thing they mention, obviously. They also mention the ability to craft and manufacture weapons and gear, and you can actually heli drop them across the map and sell them to other players. There is essentially a Counter-Strike cash system built directly into the gameplay. In each life, you're going to have to construct your loadout and spend money to get better weapons and better gear. There is also, as far as I can tell, a kind of extraction shooter black market / vendor system in the game where you can buy, sell, and trade items, and the UI for this system does look like an extraction shooter. So I'm not saying WARDOGS is an extraction shooter. All I'm just saying is this seems like a big combination of a ton of different systems from other FPS games. But the way they are taking these systems and combining them in WARDOGS is actually pretty unique. It's going to create a totally different gameplay loop from anything we've ever seen regarding a combined arms FPS title. They also mentioned some pretty complicated gunplay mechanics, so there is going to be bullet ricochets, penetration, bullet drop, and in general, the gunplay is going to be quote-unquote more realistic, as they stated in the developer video. I haven't played this game to actually feel what the weapons are like in-game, but if I had to take a guess, I'd be willing to bet the gunplay is going to be somewhere in between, like, the PUBG, Insurgency, Sandstorm, Gray Zone Warfare kind of gunplay feel. It looks a little floaty, it looks like there's a lot of sway, perhaps there's a lot of recoil. And judging where they place their own game on that scale that I showed you earlier, I think that would probably fit exactly where they placed it. Now, for those of you that didn't watch the first WARDOGS video that I made, or maybe this is the first time you heard of this game, I want to give you guys a refresher as to just what the game mode actually is. So, it is a, quote, tactical FPS with 100-player battles across 3 teams on a very large map. As this game mode progresses, there are more important control zones, and of course, whatever team controls that control zone has access to more money and just more control of the map. And if you are in control of a control zone, you can actually fortify it using barriers, barbed wire, you can build walls. You can basically fortify the objective so it is more difficult to capture. And for those of you wondering, this isn't just an infantry game. You might have seen in the B-roll there was helicopters, but there's much more than that. There's Humvees, Little Birds, attack helicopters, tanks. It's basically a full combined arms tactical FPS experience. Now, that might all sound well and good, but again, I just have a really hard time personally getting past some of the gameplay decisions they made with WARDOGS even before I get my hands on the game. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to give this game a fair shot whenever it releases or whenever we can jump on the beta, because I think the developers actually deserve it just for being so committal to their vision and basically saying, okay, you know, fuck off, we're going to make this game however we want to make it. I think that actually deserves some credit. But I think part of me really does wish this was a Battlefield competitor. Like, just a straight-up Battlefield competitor, no frills, going for the jugular, providing at least some sort of pressure, some sort of direct alternative to Battlefield 6. Before I sign this video off, I do want to highlight one more thing the WARDOGS developers said in this devlog, and it is actually about where WARDOGS player count may settle and what satisfies them.
As we don't need the same profits massive AAA releases do to keep the lights on. If WARDOGS settles somewhere between 3,000 to 10,000 daily concurrent players, that's success to us.
Gotta hand it to him, I don't know if I've ever heard a developer actually state specific player numbers they would be happy with post-launch. And 3,000 to 10,000 concurrent players, that's very niche. That is not a lot of players. And what he's essentially telling you is this game is not made for everyone. The same thing they've been saying the entire time. WARDOGS will be niche. They are specifically designing the game to be niche. So I'm not sure how many views this video is going to get, but I would be willing to bet, let's just say this video gets like 10,000 views. Maybe this game is only going to be for a couple hundred of you. Maybe not even that. But according to the devs, that's actually completely fine and is what they fully expect to happen. So let me know your thoughts about WARDOGS. I'm going to try the game when it comes out. I am, expecting to appreciate it, but maybe not play it regularly. We'll just have to see how everything shakes up. I would love to be pleasantly surprised. And once again, big shout out to Lossy for giving me some B-roll to use in this video. I do appreciate the communication there, brother. And if you enjoyed the video, sure to hit the like button, hit the sub button, and check out the second channel if you are into fragrances, talking about fragrances just as a hobby, It's one of my things that I really like. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.